There comes a moment when every ambitious soul wakes up and realizes it's no longer enough to survive. Survival is for the uncertain, for the indifferent, for the passive. But you were never built to coast. You were never designed to drift through days with a muted heart and an uninspired mind. No. You are a leader not by title, but by temperament. Not by role, but by responsibility. And if you're awake enough to hear these words, you know. You feel it deep in your bones, the call to rise, to sharpen, to lead not just others, but first, yourself. Because all leadership begins within. No crown, no position, no applause will ever compensate for a person who cannot command their own mind, their own days, their own destiny. You don't get to lead anyone else until you can lead your own energy out of mediocrity. And that is where the first transformation begins. Plan 1. Master your internal world or become a slave to your external one. The battlefield of the ambitious is not the market, the economy, or the competition. It is the space between their ears. The most dangerous war is the quiet one. You wage against your own limitations, your own excuses, your own doubt that whispers, maybe I'm not ready. But a true leader doesn't wait to feel ready. They decide to be ready. They command their thoughts like a general commands an army. Every day, before the world even sees you, you must win in the dark. Win when the alarm goes off. Win when your body says no and your purpose says go. Win when your mind starts negotiating with weakness and you answer back with clarity, discipline, and authority. You were never meant to follow the mood of the day. You were meant to set it. Which brings us to the next plan. Lead with clarity or be led by chaos. An unclear leader is a dangerous one. Not because they're evil, but because they drift. And when leaders drift, people drown. Businesses stall. Families suffer. Futures are delayed. Clarity is the compass. And too many ambitious people are busy without direction, building without vision, exhausting themselves for goals they never defined. You don't get points for movement. You get results for alignment. So stop. Ask yourself, what am I building? Why does it matter? Who must I become to deserve it? Write it, speak it, burn it into your mind. Because once clarity exists, everything else begins to arrange itself around it. Decisions become obvious. Distractions lose their power. And your life stops feeling like noise and starts feeling like a mission. Now, with mission in place, it's time to activate Plan 3. Upgrade your standards or get buried under your circumstances. Too many leaders suffer in silence because they try to fix results without fixing the root, and the root is always standards. You get what you tolerate. In health, in business, in relationships, in your own habits. The truth? You don't rise to your potential, you fall to your standards. And if your standards are built on emotion, on convenience, on the comfort of fitting in, you will fail silently and call it balance. You don't need balance. You need alignment. You need conviction. You need a standard so high that it repels everything that doesn't belong in the life you're building. Raise the standard. Raise it so high it offends the part of you that still wants to play small. Raise it until it scares you, because that's when it's finally aligned with your calling. Then enforce it. Not once, not when it's easy, but daily, until it becomes identity. And once your identity is anchored in power, it's time to activate the 4th plan. Take complete ownership of everything, every win, every loss, every inch of progress. The moment you assign blame is the moment you hand away your influence. Leaders don't play the victim. They don't wait for rescue. They don't outsource responsibility. They look in the mirror and say, if it's to be, it's up to me. You don't control everything, but you control your response to everything. You control how you lead when the storm hits. You control how you speak when emotions rise. You control whether you panic or plan. Blame builds nothing. Ownership builds empires. So stop pointing fingers. Start building foundations. And once that foundation is laid, activate Plan 5. Design your environment for war, not comfort. Because your environment is not neutral, It is either pulling you forward or dragging you down. Every leader has blind spots, traps, saboteurs disguised as friends, excuses hiding in routines. And if your environment is not engineered to align with your future, it will keep pulling you back to your past. Clean the room. Change the music. Cut the noise. Block the apps. Fire the energy drainers. Surround yourself with forces that sharpen you, not soothe you into sleep. A lion doesn't grow strong in a petting zoo. It needs the wild, the pressure, the hunt. You are not here to be coddled. You are here to conquer. Now you're ready for Plan 6. Move with urgency. Live like your legacy depends on the next decision, because it does. The clock is not your friend. It is your rival. And every second you waste pretending you have time is a second you will beg for when the clock runs out. Leaders don't wait. They initiate. They understand that someday is code for never. They don't need permission. They need a reason. And if your reason is big enough, the resistance will never be strong enough to stop you. Stop sitting on ideas. Stop waiting for signs. Move. Make the call. Start the draft. Launch the product. Send the message. Ask the question. Raise the standard. Cut the dead weight. You are not here to manage time. You are here to maximize it. So, rise. Begin. Execute like your life depends on it, because it does. Because the distance between where you are and where you could be is not measured in miles, it's measured in moments. The moments you act versus the moments you delay. The moments you choose courage over comfort. And that brings you to Plan 7. Trade comfort for capacity. Every ambitious leader must come to terms with this truth. Comfort is the enemy of growth. The very thing you crave, ease, rest, safety, is the very thing that will kill your edge if you're not vigilant. Capacity, not comfort, is the currency of greatness. And the only way to expand it is to stretch. You stretch through early mornings. You stretch through hard conversations. You stretch by saying no when it's easier to say yes. You stretch by doing one more rep, writing one more line, pushing through one more obstacle, not because you feel like it, but because you're committed to becoming the kind of person who can carry what the future demands. Leadership is not about preserving what you have. It's about preparing for what you're building. And that kind of preparation demands Plan 8. Discipline your attention like your future depends on it, because it does. Focus is the superpower of the modern world. In a sea of distractions, the leader who can sit in stillness, lock in on a task, and execute without splintering their mind wins. Because attention is not just mental, it's spiritual. Where you place your focus is where you place your faith. You become what you consistently look at. So audit your inputs, clean your feed, turn off the noise, close the tabs. Protect your energy like royalty protects a throne, because what sits in your mental kingdom will determine the quality of your empire. And once your focus is sharpened, you activate Plan 9. Design your habits for your identity, not just your goals. Goals are great, but they are outcomes. Habits are identity, the system that keeps you consistent when motivation disappears, when the applause stops, when it's just you, the silence, and the standard you said you'd live by. You don't rise to what you say, you rise to what you repeat. And if your daily systems are built for average, no amount of ambition will save you from eventual mediocrity. So build routines that match the future you. Wake like they wake. Train like they train. Study like they study. Execute like they execute. Show up like your dream self already exists, and one day you'll look up and realize they do. And from identity flows Plan 10. Play long but move fast. Real leaders think in decades, not days. They're not chasing dopamine. They're building dynasties. But don't confuse long-term vision with slow movement. Just because your eyes are on the mountaintop doesn't mean your feet should drag. Move quickly on ideas. Pivot with agility. Execute at the speed of belief, because what you delay, you train your brain to distrust. Speed is not recklessness, it's readiness. It says, I'm not waiting for things to be perfect. I move because I know who I am. And when you move with speed and think with legacy, you step into the space of the elite, the ones who not only build, but outlast. Which leads directly to Plan 11. Fortify your resilience before the storm comes. The question isn't if adversity will hit, it's when. And when it does, the leader doesn't panic. They pivot because they've built their foundation on truth, not trends. On principles, not popularity. You build resilience by confronting small discomforts daily so that when the big ones come, you don't crumble. You've already rehearsed the resistance. You've already stared failure in the face and said, "You don't define me, you refine me." Tough times don't build character. They reveal it. And only the disciplined will stand when the winds rise. So you prepare now, not later. You prepare through mindset, through systems, through strong people in your corner who call out the champion in you when you forget it's there. And as resilience hardens your resolve, you ignite Plan 12. Surround yourself only with those who reflect your future, not your past. There is no neutral energy in your circle. Every conversation is either fueling your fire or feeding your fear. Every person is either echoing your purpose or diluting your identity. As a leader, you must protect your circle like a sacred chamber. There is no room for laziness, no space for entitlement, no tolerance for mediocrity masked as support. Because if they're not pushing you, challenging you, elevating you, they're dragging you. Surround yourself with assassins of excuses, architects of vision, builders of belief, people who remind you of who you said you'd be when the fire was fresh. Your circle is either your launch pad or your cage. Choose wisely. And now, with the right people in place, with your fire stoked, your habits locked, and your mindset sharp, you activate Plan 13. Speak like a leader, especially to yourself. Words create worlds. And no one hears your voice more than you. Every sentence you repeat is a command to your subconscious. So stop speaking in uncertainty. Stop hiding behind sarcasm and self-deprecation. That's not humility. It's self-sabotage. Speak power. Speak vision. Speak truth, even when it sounds arrogant to the small-minded. Speak with the authority of someone who has already decided to win. Your voice must become the soundtrack of your transformation. Every morning, every moment, every mirror. And as your voice rises, so too must your heart. Which brings us to Plan 14. Lead with gratitude, not just grind. Grind without gratitude turns to bitterness. Hustle without heart turns to emptiness. But when you root your pursuit in awe, in the sheer privilege of building, creating, serving, you access a deeper power. Gratitude doesn't make you soft. It makes you stronger because it centers you in perspective. It reminds you that you get to lead. You get to face pressure. You get to carry weight. Every obstacle is a gift in disguise. Every delay is a refinement. Every long night is proof you haven't quit. Be grateful not just for what you've gained, but for who you've become in the process. And now, with all the fuel, fire, and force aligned, you arrive at Plan 15. Lead yourself relentlessly so you can lead others effortlessly. Because when all is said and done, leadership is not about control. It's not about applause. It's not about followers. It's about becoming. You lead because you've chosen the harder path, the one where you own your flaws, sharpen your strengths, and carry the weight of vision when others collapse. And the more consistently you lead yourself, the less you need to motivate others. Your life becomes the sermon. Your actions become the message. Your standard becomes the invitation for others to rise. So rise. Become the kind of leader who leads from the inside out. Let your thoughts be intentional. Let your words be weapons of truth. Let your actions make legacy inevitable. Because the world does not need more noise. It needs you, fully alive, fully aligned, fully unleashed. This is how you change your life. This is how you lead. And when you lead like that, not from ego, not from image, but from essence, everything shifts. You don't chase influence, you become it. You don't force respect, you earn it. You don't need to be seen, because the impact of your presence becomes impossible to ignore. This is what ambitious leadership truly is. A quiet rebellion against mediocrity. A daily, deliberate defiance against everything that says, stay small. It is not something you do on stage or in a boardroom. It's what you do in the silence when no one is watching and no one is clapping. It's waking up earlier than your doubt. It's outworking your fear. It's sharpening your soul while others scroll. It's building what they can't see, so one day they stand in awe of what you refuse to quit on. Because ambition without structure is anxiety, and leadership without personal mastery is just noise. But you are not here to echo. You are here to initiate. So now you lead with legacy in mind. You stop reacting to life and start architecting it. You create space in your calendar for the things that matter. You build systems that protect your peace and multiply your purpose. You stop explaining yourself to people who haven't earned access to your vision. And you rise not just in results, but in resonance. Your presence begins to speak louder than your profile. Your consistency becomes your credibility. And your attitude becomes your authority. This is what the world will see. But the world will never know the sacrifices made in silence, the prices paid in private, the inner battles you won while smiling on the outside. But you'll know, and that's enough. Because real leaders don't need constant praise, they need constant purpose. You are building something far beyond what the eye can see. A legacy, a movement, a ripple that will echo for generations, not just because of what you achieved, but because of who you chose to become. So as you walk back into your day, head high, eyes sharp, energy focused, remember this. You are not waiting for a moment. You are the moment. You are not hoping for a shift. You are the shift. You are not just dreaming of a better future. You are becoming the kind of leader who will build it. And when they ask how you changed your life, you won't give them a list. You'll just smile and live it. Because nothing is louder than a life lived in full alignment. No speech, no strategy, no social media post can rival the quiet power of a human being who embodies what they speak, who owns what they believe, who executes what they once only imagined. That's who you are now. You don't just talk about greatness, you build it. Brick by brick, standard by standard, day by day. While others chase shortcuts, you chase mastery. While others seek comfort, you seek clarity. While others want recognition, you demand responsibility. Because you know deep in your bones that leadership is not about being in front. It's about being solid. It's about being the one who can't be moved when the storm hits, the money dips, the team falters, the world changes. It's about becoming the constant in a world of variables. A pillar of principle, a symbol of consistency, a force of nature that doesn't flinch when tested. That is your new identity, not built in one day, but reinforced, refined, and revealed through every decision made with intentionality. So every time you wake up, remember, you're not just waking to tasks. You're waking to testimony. You're not just building a life. You're building a legacy of example. You're not just a person doing the work. You are the proof that discipline wins, that purpose speaks louder than fear, that ambition aligned with integrity can move mountains. Because you were not sent here to replicate, you were sent to resonate. And when your life resonates with truth, with vision, with impact, the world shifts, not because you told it to, but because your presence made it undeniable. So walk boldly, speak clearly, act decisively, forgive quickly, love deeply, move fiercely, and never again ask the world for permission to lead. You already did that when you decided to change your life. And now you're unstoppable. Because the moment you became unstoppable wasn't when they saw you succeed, it was when you refused to surrender in silence. When you picked yourself up, bleeding and bruised, and whispered, "I'm not done." That is the fire they won't understand. That is the edge they cannot imitate. That is the reason you will rise while others stall, because your ambition is not shallow. It is rooted in depth, in pain transformed into power, in vision shaped by fire. You stopped needing applause the day you discovered your assignment. And now, you don't need hype to move. You need only your word. You said you would rise, and you are rising. You said you would lead, and you are leading. You said you would become the kind of person you once only dreamed of, and now you're staring at the blueprint, hammer in hand, building it brick by brick. Let the world call it extreme. Let them call it obsession. Let them call it too much. You call it necessary. Because when you look at your future, the one you are forging with sweat, vision, and sacrifice, you see something they don't. You see the family that will be fed, the people who will be freed, the chains that will be broken, the ceiling that will be shattered because you decided to go first. This is what leadership is. Not title, not status, not image. It is sacrifice in silence for impact in eternity. You carry that weight not because it's easy, but because you can. And now you do it not out of duty, but out of destiny. So this is your vow burned into your mind, sealed into your bones. No more half steps. No more waiting to be chosen. No more settling for maybe. No more apologizing for the fire inside. From here forward, everything you do reflects who you've become. Not a person in pursuit of greatness, but the living proof of it. So let your actions roar. Let your standards speak louder than your status. Let your discipline echo through generations. Because you are no longer just a person trying to succeed. You are a leader, reshaping the world through the way you live. And that changes everything. And if they ask where it started, this shift, this rise, this transformation they now see in your eyes, you won't point to a stage or a spotlight. You'll point to the silence, to the dark mornings, to the lonely decisions, to the exact moment you looked at the life you were living and said with absolute finality, no more. Because that's where real change begins, not in noise, not in performance, but in resolve. That unshakable moment when you stop hoping life gets easier and decide you'll get stronger. When you stop craving comfort and choose capacity. When you stop fearing judgment and step fully into conviction. This is your real wealth. Not the money, not the metrics, but the man or woman you've become in the furnace of intentional action. You don't need to scream it. You show it in your posture, in your peace, in the intensity behind your calm, in the discipline behind your joy, in the weight your name carries, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. You've now become the kind of person who doesn't need to prove they've changed because your presence proves it. And what's more, your life now becomes permission. Permission for others to rise. Permission for others to dream bigger. Permission for others to believe that greatness isn't inherited, it's engineered. You are the proof, the walking, breathing, unrelenting proof that with vision, with structure, with faith and fire and impenetrable standards, anything can be transformed. You didn't just change your life. You rewrote the rules. You didn't just climb the mountain. You built a new one and showed others how to ascend. And from here on out, no matter how high you go, how far you stretch, how deeply you influence, you will always return to the root truth that made this all possible. You led yourself first. And because of that, you will never be lost again. Because no matter what storms may come, what setbacks may surface, what doubts may whisper, you will stand firm because you know who you are. You are the storm. You are the shift. You are the kind of leader who walks into the fire and builds cathedrals inside it. This is not the end of your journey. This is the birth of the next level. So don't slow down. Don't settle. Don't forget the weight you carry, the fire you bear, the lives you were born to impact. Now, go, lead, live, and never look back. Not with applause, not with a bow, but with a vow, the kind that doesn't need to be spoken because it's already been written into the rhythm of how you breathe, how you move, how you show up from this moment forward. Because this wasn't just a script. It was a mirror. It was a match. It was a mandate. And now that it's been lit inside you, there's only one thing left to do. Lead your life like it's the only one bold enough to break the mold. Because it is. And you are. There's a currency more sacred than gold, more unforgiving than failure, more powerful than talent, education, or even connections. It's the currency that every legend protects and every average life squanders. It's not money. It's not luck. It's not opportunity. It's time. Time is the only resource you cannot borrow, beg, steal, rewind, or replace. You don't get to save it. You only get to spend it. And what you spend it on will become the story of your life. Every second, a seed. Every minute, a mirror. Every hour, a brick laid in the structure of your legacy. And the cruel truth, most people are bankrupt. Not financially, spiritually, emotionally, purposefully, because they've traded time for the illusion of productivity, for the comfort of distraction, for the noise that keeps them busy, but never better. They wake up without purpose, move through their day without urgency, scroll through their hours like time is infinite, but it's not. It's perishable. It's dying as fast as you're breathing. And every second you waste, someone else is using that same moment to build, to sharpen, to rise. This isn't fear. This is truth. Because when you understand the value of time, you don't just respect it. You revere it. You treat it like royalty. You protect it like gold. You use it like fire in your hands. Because what you do with your time reveals what you truly value. You say you want success, but how much time did you give your dream today? You say you want freedom, but how much time did you waste on people who aren't free themselves? You say you want legacy, but how many of your hours are being spent building anything that will outlive you? Time is the great equalizer. It humbles kings. It empowers the unseen. It doesn't care about your past. It doesn't listen to your excuses. It only answers to your discipline. So, ask yourself, what is your relationship with time? Do you lead it, or does it lead you? Do you command your calendar, or are you a servant to circumstance? Do you start your day with intention, or do you wake up already in defeat? Because here's the truth. You don't have a time problem. You have a purpose problem, a priority problem, a personal standard problem. When time becomes sacred, your life becomes focused. Your yes becomes valuable. Your no becomes powerful. You stop entertaining what doesn't build you. You stop delaying what your future is begging for. You stop wasting hours on things that drain your spirit. Because you realize the way you spend your time is the way you spend yourself. And you were not made to be average. You were made to amplify, to execute, to rise. When you truly understand the value of time, you stop living like you have forever. You stop postponing your greatness. You stop pushing your potential into a mythical someday that never comes and never will, unless you command it into existence today. Because here's the harsh truth. If you died tomorrow, would the hours you live today have meant anything? Would they prove you were becoming who you said you'd become? Would they testify that you used your time with honor? Or would they echo back with silence? The silence of wasted potential, of borrowed time, of dreams that never got built? You see, you can't manage time if you don't first respect it. And you can't respect time until you understand that it doesn't care who you are. It only serves the committed. Time is like a mirror. It doesn't reflect what you want. It reflects what you prioritize. It reflects who you are when no one's watching. And this is what separates the ones who rise from the ones who always talk about rising. The successful, the fulfilled, the legendary. They don't treat time casually. They don't wake up hoping the day goes well. They own it. They build it. They bend it to the rhythm of their vision. Because when your life is urgent with purpose, time becomes a weapon, not a weight. You use every minute to shape something that matters. You walk into each hour like it owes you legacy. You protect your schedule like it holds your freedom, because it does. You don't give hours to the past. You don't give hours to people who don't respect your future. You don't give hours to excuses that have outlived their usefulness. Instead, you carve out space for mastery. You calendar your discipline. You schedule your future like it's your duty. And that's when time begins to multiply for you. Because here's the paradox of time. When you honor it, when you fill it with focus and purpose and execution, you get more of it. Not in quantity, but in quality, in impact, in clarity, in results. One focused hour in the hands of a person on fire with purpose is more valuable than a full day of scattered distraction. This is the difference between the extraordinary and the exhausted. They're not working harder. They're just working cleaner, more aligned, more precise, more present. They've learned how to say no, like their life depends on it, because it does. Every no to distraction is a yes to elevation. Every no to nonsense is a yes to your name being written in history. So ask yourself, what are you giving your hours to? What is your time feeding? What is your time creating? Because time is not just passing, it's taking shape. And what it becomes is up to you. Then stand tall, because this is the moment where your life pivots. Not next week, not when it's convenient. Now, because if you've truly understood anything up to this point, then you know this isn't about clocks. This isn't about to-do lists or productivity hacks. This is about honor. Honor for your calling. Honor for your mind. Honor for your one and only life. You see, the value of time is not found in how fast you can check off tasks. It's found in how deeply you can live each moment, how present you are in the creation of your future, how willing you are to pay the price today so you never have to beg tomorrow. Time is your teacher, your mirror, your currency, and your test. And every day you wake up with breath in your lungs, you are being asked one question: what will you do with me? That question comes with no warning, no negotiation, and no refund. You don't get to pause the clock until life feels fair. You don't get to rewind it just because you weren't ready. You don't get to fast forward to the good parts, but you do get to decide what you build with it. You do get to control what goes on your schedule. You do get to lead your hours like a king leads an army. That means no more killing time, no more wasting time, no more casual afternoons that bleed into purposeless nights. Every minute matters, because every minute is a vote. A vote for the life you want, or a vote for the life you're tolerating. You say you want greatness? Prove it with how you spend your mornings. You say you want peace? Show it by what you no longer allow into your mental space. You say you want legacy? Then honor your hours like the generations after you depend on it. Because they do. You don't get rich by working harder. You get rich by valuing time more than money. You don't build success by adding more. You build it by cutting what doesn't matter. And you don't create freedom by avoiding the clock. You create it by leading it, owning it, becoming the kind of person who uses time with surgical precision. And here's the final truth, the one that either breaks you or builds you. Your time is running out. Every minute is gone. Every breath spent. Every excuse stealing the only thing you can never get back. So stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for life to slow down and finally give you time. It won't. You make time. You declare war on distraction. You execute with clarity. You live so intentionally that time itself begins to bend in your direction. Because that's what happens when your life is led with purpose. That's what happens when you decide right here, right now, that every day from this moment forward is a day you own, a day you build, a day you live fully aware that this moment is priceless and you're done letting it slip away. Let the world keep rushing. Let the clock keep ticking. Let others waste their hours in noise. But you move in clarity. You act with reverence. You rise with rhythm, and you lead your life like time is your most sacred resource, because it is. And now you know exactly what to do with it.